without disturbance, but something didn't seem natural. Then the dog just bolted. He whipped around and sprinted down the slope away from me and the little rock slide above us, faster than I may have ever seen him run. I screamed after him and wailed on my hunting whistle to try to get him to hold, but he went all the way up the trail before looking back at me. Maybe this was me finally coming to my senses, but I figured, screw it, we're out of here. I heaved my pack on and made my way to Reggie, who was whining and pacing me, while looking over my shoulder. Once there, he started straight up the trail toward the car, looking at me, almost begging me with his ears down, with a "dude, let's go" face I hadn't seen before. It really put the hair on my neck up. So I just fell in behind him, and we started the hike. It was slow going, because it was uphill out of the valley, and I wasn't moving as fast while keeping my eyes to the ridgeline, to my right, and to the sagebrush meadow to my left toward the river. I had my gun loaded because I hadn't entirely abandoned the idea of hunting on my way out, even though Reggie wasn't nose down looking at anything but the ridge. Again, like he was begging me to hurry up. Also, I was sketched out in general, and a loaded shotgun is a decent remedy for fear. After about an hour and a half, I knew we were probably no more than a mile from the car, as I remember the canyon wall on the right becoming almost a sheer cliff, with occasional slot canyons leading up from the trail. When we were right at the mouth of one of these little mini canyons leading to the cliffs, Reggie stopped. He froze again, like he saw a game bird looking up at the rocks. I thought maybe it was actually a quail, so I got my gun ready and took a few paces up the ridge to see if Reggie would hunt up like he normally would. But he started whining and pacing again, and even shaking a bit while whipping his head back and forth, scanning frantically up and down the hill. I was worried then. I knew he wasn't right. I looked behind me and saw something move between two large boulders. I aimed my gun, thinking again, cougar, but I saw two hooves, thinking now, bighorn, mule deer. I took a few steps up the steep slope toward the animal, seeing if I could spook it up the ridge and see what it was. And the wind started picking up, and there was sage twigs moving around the little black rocked canyon. And right then, Reggie started going insane. He was snarling and yelling like I'd never heard before. But I started saying, "Reg, stop! Reggie, no!" while slowly wheeling the corner to see what the rest of the animal was. And that's when my entire life and understanding of the world changed. Behind that rock corner was definitely a bighorn sheep. It was standing on its back legs looking at the rock wall, with its front legs curled up grotesquely into its chest where I couldn't see them. It was shifting its weight back and forth between its back hooves, and it had massive curled ram horns I'd only seen on a few big males before. I was immediately jarred by the sight, and I think I blurted out something like, "Holy hell," but thought for some reason it was just stuck or wedged there, or had fallen in a vertical position from above. Then it slowly started stepping and turning around, staying entirely on its back feet. Then it whipped around to face me, and it definitely wasn't stuck. It was literally standing comfortably, like a man, on its back legs. It looked like a normal bighorn sheep, but its eyes were wide and terrifyingly human, and staring at my stomach or waistline. It was drooling a ridiculous amount of frothy slobber out of its clattering mouth. I was tripping and sliding backwards, and a half second from blasting this freakish ram in its face when it looked right up into my eyes and shouted, with a wheezing, boyish voice with a terrified, pleading urgency, "Please don't, please don't, don't." I tripped and rolled down the trail, and Reggie was tearing up the path ahead of me. I leaped up and trained my gun right up at its spot. I saw the ram's horn sticking out and most of its face, as if it was peeking out behind the rocks like a child playing hide and seek, and it was still staring at me, dead in the eye, then ripped its head back behind the rocks. I could hear it still, but it sounded like it was sobbing like a little boy. while repeating, "Please don't, please don't, please don't." As I was pacing backwards, I noticed that I was screaming at it like a savage, like I had done when running into black bears to try to scare them off, not saying anything intelligible, and also screaming for my dog so we didn't bolt a mile ahead. When I got 50 yards down the trail, I shot both my 12-gauge hunting loads down the empty trail into the dirt and kept walking backwards. Reggie was back at my heels at this point, but still whining and barking. I swear, I walked the whole mile backwards, scanning like a madman, hands white and stone gripped on my gun, until I got a glimpse of the valley opening where my truck was. Then I just bolted. I sprinted like a child running from a monster. Reggie stayed ahead of me, and when we were at the truck, I tore my keys out of my bag, threw the dog, bag, and gun into the car, and tore out of the valley, back to the state highway like a drag racer. I stopped at the first town, tried to calm Reggie down, and myself, and I still didn't get cell service. I went to the gas station, not to get anything really, but just to interact with another human and make sure the Ram monster, or my insanity, was isolated in the canyon. I must have looked like I'd seen a ghost because the first thing the woman said was, "You okay, hun?" I bought a Gatorade, drove back north to the interstate, and straight home. I haven't slept right since. My diet is all messed up. I can't think at work. My dog is super jumpy, doesn't like walking at night anymore. Not sure what to do to get over my encounter with this talking, pleading, sobbing beast. But I know one thing for sure. I am not hunting or camping alone anymore. And I am never going to set foot in the John Day River basin as long as I live. Not a chance in hell. So, I lived in my parents' rental house near my school. It was kind of an intermediate form of living on my own. All the perks, not as many responsibilities. They wanted me to worry about school rather than bills, is how they put it. I still have a part-time job for groceries and other various stuff I want though. The night it happened, I'd come home to a crazy dog, Vinny. My big black lab was going absolutely bonkers. It was jumping up on me, which he never does, and barely let me get to the counter to set down my takeout. I figured he was out of water or excited for dinner. It was close to dinner time, and I paused to scruff him and calm him down. But he just kept bounding around like he wanted to tell me something. I filled his bowl and took my Thai food to the couch. I put on my favorite show and to settle in. I had a paper to write, but I was putting it off for a while. It was for my American film as a lecture class, which was important for my comparative lecture major, but I wasn't thrilled to write the paper on native son. So it was probably going to be a late night for me, as I was inevitably going to put it off until late. Vinny came bounding in the living room and stood in front of the television. I stared at him for a moment as he panted furiously and started barking at me. I was quick to hush him because he has a big bark. We had neighbors. But he kept stalking around the living room, making various dog noises, whining and pawing at the carpet. I put my book down and went to give him more food just to shut him up. But his bowl was untouched. He never left so much as a kibble behind, and I became very apprehensive. He was acting like something was wrong, and he wasn't a drama queen, so I made sure all of the doors were locked and turned on some lights. "Go outside, Vinny," I said, sitting back on the couch. He whined at me, and I had to get up to pull him by the collar to get him to the dog door to the backyard. He shot me a look and climbed through, and I sighed, still a bit concerned, but not overly so. I went back to the living room and resumed my dinner. After a good 5 episodes or so, I got enough inspiration to go into the computer room and start writing my video. There was a thump from outside as I sat down, but I ignored it. Vinny can get crazy sometimes, bounced all over the place. So I directed my attention to my homework and slowly got going. I'd been working for an hour or so when I heard another thump and something drag along the side of the house. I furrowed my brow and tried to concentrate on my paper, but something felt off. Vinny started barking, and I rushed to the door to get him to come in. He was growling, hackles fully up, and I could barely get him back inside. I locked the dog door and tried to walk away, but he just sat there, staring at me, still growling. I cautiously grabbed his collar and opened the door. The yard looked normal, kind of sickly in the outdoor lights, but otherwise just fine. Vinny jerked against me, and it took all I had to keep control of him. He started barking again. I had enough. We were going inside for the night. I made sure all of the doors were locked and the garage was closed. Something was definitely off, and I decided to finally call the police on the non-emergency number. Hi, my dog is acting really weird. I've heard some noises outside. Is there any way you could have someone drive by my house? I asked. Of course, the woman said. What's your address? I told her my address and thanked her profusely. Vinny was still acting like a nutcase, but I didn't want him to go outside anymore. I felt better with him going crazy inside where he could protect me. Vinny's a big dog, fiercely protective, really scary when he wants to be. I had a boyfriend try to hit me once, and Vinny nearly bit his arm off. He may have been acting like a maniac, but if something happened, he'd have my back. I sat back down at the computer, and the measly 400 words I'd managed to write and listen to Vinny bark at the door. I was going to go crazy, and I had no real way to shut him up. I considered locking him in his crate, but I was too on edge. There was a knock at the door, and I nearly jumped out of my skin. Vinny started barking his head off, and I grabbed his collar again so I could open the door. 2 policemen stood on my porch. We just wanted to let you know everything looks okay from the street, the first said, looking a bit nervous as I held the bouncing, growling beast by my collar. Did you want us to check around back for you? Oh my gosh, would you? I asked, relieved. That would be wonderful, right through here, I said, showing them to the back door. They went out and walked around the lawn for a few minutes, and then came back in. It doesn't look like you have anything amiss, the other cop said, but we'll drive by later. Thank you, I really appreciate it, I said, showing them out. I locked the door and let go of Vinny's collar. He ran into the other room to bark at the door again. Part of me wanted to go unlock it, but something told me not to. I finally had enough and put him in the laundry room with his bed and toys, hoping he'd just lie down and go to sleep. But he just kept barking and howling. It was muffled now, which made it easier to concentrate on my homework. After what seemed like hours, I clicked the double space option and exhaled proudly, just barely making the page number requirement. That deserves some ice cream, for sure. I let Vinny out and scooped myself a bowl, made my way upstairs to get ready for bed. Vinny usually comes with me and sleeps in my bed, but stood at the bottom of the stairs, whining, giving me a little bark. I called him, but he just stood there, panting. I was really unnerved, but left my door open so he could come to bed when he calmed down. I ate my ice cream and read a few chapters in my book, then snuggled in for the night. I don't think I'd even fallen asleep when Vinny just went nuts downstairs. I was out of bed in a flash. He sounded like he was dying or something. On my way downstairs, I heard a loud clatter and a high-pitched scream from Vinny. I found him growling, barking, whining and snarling in the kitchen doorway, fixated on something. I ran to his side to calm him down, and that's when I saw it. The dog door was halfway across the kitchen, lying limp on the tile, and something was trying to come through the hole. The thing was somewhere between one of those gray aliens and a corpse. It had one shoulder and a long, oddly jointed arm claw on the floor, and it struggled to get its other shoulder through. Its skin was somewhere between pale blue and mold green, like dead flesh. The hand that was clawing at the kitchen floor was too long, like it had extra joints in its fingers, which were tipped with ugly little black claws instead of fingernails. Its face was stretched, its jaw hanging lower than it should, in a mewling, groaning, angry moan. It didn't seem to have eyes, just sunken, black, empty sockets. It started to wiggle its other shoulder through the door, and I didn't need to see any more. I pulled Vinny into the garage, not bothering with shoes or pants. I sped to my parents' house, running a few lights along the way. I told my parents what happened, but they didn't believe me, obviously. They did comment on how agitated Vinny was there. I didn't sleep a wink that night, and I didn't go to school the next morning, opting to play sick and cuddle with Vinny all day. He'd calmed down, got alone, made me feel safe. When my parents went back to the rental house, they found the dog door halfway across the kitchen floor, and half of the backyard torn up. Claw marks were dug into the floor by the door, which they blamed on Vinny, but agreed that the situation was weird. I moved back into my parents' house and insisted they come with me to pack up my stuff. I wouldn't stay past dark either. It's all I can do to stay in school. I'm getting Vinny licensed as a therapy dog, so he can come with me everywhere I go. I don't think anything like what happened that night will happen again, but if it does, Vinny has my back. Number 1. Late one night, my best friend and I were talking on the phone. If I remember right, this was around Christmas, so we were on break from school. We were really bored, and for fun, decided to order another guy we knew a pizza as kind of a joke. We had a three-way call. He clicked over to call Domino's and order the pizza. Afterwards, we continued talking on the phone. Kind of felt bad for what we did. But we were also hungry, so we said maybe we would run over to our friend's house, wait for the pizza guy to deliver, pay for the pizza, take it home and eat it ourselves. It sounded good, so we planned on meeting him there. We all lived really close to each other back in those days, so I got outside and started running. I still remember how cold that night was, and how the cold air hurt my lungs as I ran. I was really close to the house they were delivering to, but just as I was getting to the street he lived on, I saw the pizza guy's car driving off down the road. Crap, we missed him. My friend and I found each other and talked for a bit. We planned on going back to our homes, calling each other again, and talking on the internet. I started walking back home. As I was passing a house, I started to hear someone say something to me. It was around 1 in the morning during the week, so I didn't expect many people to still be awake. I looked and to see an outline of someone standing in the doorway of a house. The guy was standing there talking to me, but I didn't really understand what he was saying.
No, I know it's bugs, but
The guy was speaking gibberish.
oh,
It's snowing.
It really was.
no, it's snowing.
Especially the way he was
You see
talking.
snow?
He was trying
No,
to
I
sound
don't.
like
That's
a
why I was
girl.
confused.
Were they just swarming in the air?
Goosebumps and started
Yeah, by
running
the
as
light.
fast as I could.
So it gotta be
Sounded
100,000 of those shits up
It
there.
sounded like this guy was chasing after me while making some weird noises. It didn't sound like the guy gave chase for long, and when I finally looked back after running, I didn't see anyone there. I remember thinking, what if I'm trying to unlock my front door and he gets me, like something out of a movie, but I was able to get my door open and get safely inside. I called my friend and we talked for a while about what happened. I was pretty shaken and he did his best to calm me down. I did not sleep very well.